is, of course, a united Sri Lanka. No one in India, certainly no one in any responsible position, would in any way want to undermine the unity, integrity, territorial integrity and sovereignty of Sri Lanka. I think that is something that we all feel we would not want to see disrupted in any country in our neighborhood, but least of all in our closest neighbor. But I think it's equally important for us that there should be no grounds for grievance. And I think you will accept, Rajiva, that there was a period where many of the legitimate concerns of the Tamil people appeared to be ignored by Colombo. I think you're moving very much in the right direction now. I'm very pleased about the bilingual recognition now of both languages as having official status in your country, the incentives being given to public servants, police officers and so on to learn both languages, the emphasis on increasing opportunities for education in both languages. All of this is very positive. And then on the political side, your government has been publicly pledged to do 13th Amendment plus. And everyone is anxious to see what content will be given to that word plus. Because I believe that if you're able to see the consensus of Tamil political opinion, perhaps not unanimity, that is very difficult to achieve on any issue, but a broad swathe of Tamil political opinion in Sri Lanka saying that arrangements proposed would meet their aspirations, then I think the prospects for Sri Lanka not just forging ahead but absolutely thriving are very high. This is a country with so much going for it. Its natural beauty, which is an obvious attraction for tourists, its highly educated population and workforce, its capacity therefore to trade, to produce, to grow. All of this suggests to me a country that has a tremendous capacity to grow not just at 6%, which you've managed through the war years, but to grow at 8, 9, 10% as India did during our best years. And I think that Colombo realizes this, and I'm not saying anything that would surprise any of my friends here, including yourself.
No, I think that's correct, that we need to take full advantage of the victory over terrorism that this government managed to achieve, and certainly fulfill what I believe is the commitment of this government to a pluralistic society. I think one of the problems we've faced in the last few years is the fact that for a very long time Tamil polity seemed to be concentrated either in the LTT, who claimed to be the sole representatives of the Tamil people, or alternately in what was then the TNA, which I'm afraid at some points actually seemed to parrot this. Now, I don't think this is the view of many people in the TNA. After all, as you yourself, you must have known Neelan Thiruchelvam, one of our great
Sadly,
thinkers.
we never met, but yes, we were aware of each other's work and thoughts.
Right. And sadly, after he was killed by the LTT, I think they found it very difficult in the TNA to resist. But I think if you have an opportunity to meet a range of Tamil politicians, and do you think we could also have a situation where India also is appreciative of the range of Tamil opinion, and indeed the fact that a large majority of the different interests find that the work of this government is very positive, both in terms of rehabilitation, but also in terms of, as I said, fulfillment of the language policies and so on that you spoke. Would India recognize
I think that is certainly being noticed and appreciated in India. You know, India has always taken the view that there was absolutely unconditional recognition and support for the Sri Lankan government's right to deal with terrorism in its own country. But equally, the need for a political negotiated settlement to the outstanding national question, the question of the place of ethnicity, and let's put it bluntly, of the Tamil people in this polity, that needed to be accomplished as well. So we have been saying to the government in the aftermath of its extraordinary military victory last year, that the 4 R's, rehabilitation, resettlement, reconciliation, and indeed ultimately the movement towards a complete redevelopment of this area, that all of this had to be done as a matter of priority. Now, reconciliation is easier said than done. We recognize that. I think it's obviously difficult for the government to be reconciling with people who have taken up arms against it. But to treat everyone who was at one point in military opposition to the government as a permanent enemy would be extremely unfortunate as well. It would not be a viable basis for Sri Lanka to build a new society. If you look once more at the immediate challenges, you've had a tremendous humanitarian catastrophe, 300,000 people in a small country displaced, lost their homes, lost their livelihoods, lost family members, to be able to give them the prospect of resuming lives that have been so cruelly interrupted by this conflict. That is a major priority, and I think it's important that the Sri Lankan government do that as a matter of priority. And we, as you know, in India have been only too happy to help. The Indian government has given 500 crores of Indian rupees in cash, but apart from that, there have been everything from agricultural starter kits so those who go back have implements to resume their farmers' lives, to the provision of serious 7, in fact, demining teams, because we don't want people going back feeling unsafe that there are mines lying around their homes. We're doing all of that. India also ran a hospital in Bhavania for about 6 months last year, which treated 50,000 people. We are happy to offer more of this sort of assistance. The Indian public will be strongly behind the government in giving whatever assistance the Sri Lankan government requires, because we all want to see this moving forward. Now, having said that, you're right, there is a range of Tamil opinion. I have met some Tamil leaders here. I recognize that also when you're rebuilding after war, people are beginning to gingerly pick up the pieces of their own lives, and very often their fundamental survival, how to get and earn 3 square meals a day, education and so on, even getting a job will come before they start talking about political aspirations. But one must not neglect the political aspirations too long. And in a democracy like Sri Lanka, ensuring that every section of your society profits from that democracy, feels part of it, benefits from it, and feels that it is a way of fulfilling their legitimate destiny. That is extremely important in any society, most of all in a democracy like yours. I was very encouraged when the President mentioned that he was meeting all sections of the political opinion of the Tamil leadership before traveling to India next week. And I say next week, I'm not sure when this TV will be broadcast, but I gather the meeting is on the 7th, and the travel to India is in a day or two after that. My own view is that this sort of thing is extremely healthy, and that people in Delhi will obviously look at it with a lot of interest.
Thank you. On the issue of reconciliation, perhaps I should point out something that interested me at the match. I mean, you were too busy playing cricket and taking wickets. But one of the nicest things I saw was a couple of former LTT fighters, some girls who had come there, and the joy with which the girl who was taking photographs with a very sophisticated camera, much more sophisticated than mine, greeted the former Commissioner General of Rehabilitation and was introduced to his family. You know, it showed that there had been a genuine sense of feeling that these are our children. You know, they had been dragooned into service with the LTT. Probably 3 years ago, as I've told them when I spoke to them, they would have wanted to kill me. And I said, "You want to kill me yet?" And they all said no. I'm sure 1 or 2 of them still would, but the vast majority were victims. And I think you're perfectly right that we must make sure that they feel integrated with us, and as importantly, that we feel integrated with them. On the assistance that India has given us, I should also confirm, and I've said this in Geneva when several Western countries were talking of assistance, absolutely the greatest support we got was from our Asian friends. Both India and China were fantastic, and in particular because of your greater cultural affinity, the tools that you gave for the cooking, all that, were the best pack that the people had. I think on aid we're very grateful, but probably if it could be quicker. I know the commitment is there, but sometimes your bureaucracy is perhaps more efficient than ours, but it's still not perfect. And some things have been slow, so perhaps in an informal capacity.
No, that message has gone back. I noticed the President saying that as well, and I've certainly conveyed it. Look, let me say that as far as India is concerned, the goodwill is absolutely genuine. And you know, we are able to help you, I might add, in even surprising ways, in addition to the examples I mentioned. The provision of English language training in Sri Lanka by Indian teachers has been a sort of unexpected byproduct of our close relationship. We are not Britain or America. We have no global mission to impart the English language. But when Sri Lanka said, "Please help us with this," we were happy to do so. And the initial success of the institute we set up in Peradeniya, I believe it was, has now meant that we are actually planning to expand this in other parts of the country. So you will find that whatever limitations there may be in terms of the celerity with which we act, that is the speed with which we act, I'm quite confident that the help we give you will be useful, relevant, and what is more, attuned to the actual needs of the society here in Sri Lanka. Because the truth is that you're not going to find a situation in which in which Sri Lankans feel that the kind of assistance being offered is foreign, because we are very much like you, and what we give you will certainly fit right in with what you need.
I think it's absolutely correct. I think, personally, I'm delighted, and I think I had some part in contributing to the idea that English belongs to us.
Exactly.
And I have certainly been so impressed by the levels of English in India. I have to confess that when I was a child, we thought we were very good in English.
You are,
you guys
of course
weren't.
you are.
What has happened in Sri Lanka is we've restricted it to a very small group of people, whereas in India it's been burgeoning, and more people are obviously at high levels. Let me just ask you,